Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Mark Pickering. We welcome the veterans who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students from Tullajabil Central School, New South Wales. If able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Lieutenant Lloyd Frederick Hack. Lloyd Hack was born on the 22nd of February 1915 in Ipswich, Queensland, the second son of George and Frances Hack. Hack grew up in Queensland, eventually settling in Brisbane, where he worked as a bank clerk. Hack joined the militia in mid-June 1940, becoming part of the Australian Army Pay Corps, and quickly earning the rank of Staff Sergeant. As well as ensuring that the men of the Australian Army were paid correctly and on time, the Pay Corps were called on to provide financial management advice and analysis to conduct audits and investigate fraud. In September, Hack became engaged to Hilda Cooper, known as Bunny, and in December the couple were wed at Albert Street Methodist Church. In July the following year, Hack enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force, the all-volunteer force that, unlike its militia counterparts, was able to serve outside Australia and its territories. Having been promoted to lieutenant, Hack left his bride and marched out to Sydney. In September, he travelled to Darwin, where he was attached to the 2nd 21st Battalion. The majority of the battalion's members were Victorians. They had spent the past 9 months in Darwin, training and on garrison duties. Following the Japanese invasion of Malaya, the battalion prepared to move, arriving on Ambon in December 1941. On Ambon, Hack and the 2nd 21st Battalion joined elements of the 18th Anti-Tank Battery, the 2nd 11th Field Company, 2nd 12th Field Ambulance and other supporting troops to form Gulf Force. The commanding officer of the 2nd 21st, Lieutenant Colonel Leonard Roach, despaired at the situation facing the battalion. Cooperation with the Dutch forces was difficult, transport, air and artillery support and the reserves of rations and ammunition were limited. And the combined Australian-Dutch force, numbering 3,700 troops, was likely to be overwhelmed by the larger Japanese force. After a series of messages urging reinforcement, Roach signalled that the defence of Ambon was untenable. He was removed from command and replaced by Lieutenant Colonel William Scott. On the eve of invasion, Scott relocated many of the defensive positions, leaving the battalion even less prepared for the Japanese invasion. 3 battalions of Japanese infantry and a battalion of Marines landed on the night of the 30th of January 1942. Despite determined resistance, Gulf Force could not hold back the Japanese. On the 2nd of February, B and C companies were massacred around Laha airfield. The remainder of the battalion surrendered the following day and were imprisoned at their former barracks on Tantui. Conditions for the prisoners on Ambon were harsh and they suffered the highest death rate of any Australian prisoners of war. Contributing to the grim toll was the fact that all but a number of medical personnel had been moved to Hainan Island in China. Lieutenant Lloyd Hack was recorded as dying as a result of beriberi in the camp hospital at Tantui on the 13th of September 1945. He was 30 years old. Today, his remains lie in the Ambon War Cemetery. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my left, amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died whilst serving in the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lieutenant Lloyd Frederick Hack, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorials Development Project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.